Thank you for tuning in to Mr. B's Auto Shop. Today we'll be discussing the crankshaft. The crankshaft is part of what is called the rotational assembly or the rotating assembly. It contains journals for the main bearings, which we covered in a previous episode, and it contains journals for the connecting rods. This is where the piston and connecting rod assembly attaches to the crankshaft. If you notice, you'll notice that the rod journals are offset from the center line. This is what gives it the cranking ability. So during the combustion process, the force transferred to the piston pushes down on the journal. Because it's offset from the center line, it causes the crankshaft to rotate in a circle, pushing your car down the road. Inside each main bearing journal, there is an oil gallery hole. This allows the lubrication to flow through the crankshaft and lubricate the rod journals. There will also be at the top what is referred to as the snout or the nose of the crankshaft. There will be a timing gear, and this will or sprocket, and this will either link to a timing chain or a timing belt, which drives the camshaft. On the very top, on the nose or the snout of the crankshaft, we have what's called our harmonic balancer. The harmonic balancer is a weighted device with a rubber ring, and this helps reduce vibrations. If this fails, or you put the incorrect one on, it can actually lead to crankshaft breakage, where the crankshaft will actually break, typically right here at the first main bearing. Moving down from the main bearing journal, on the rod bearing part of the crankshaft, we have these two heavy areas, and this is called a counterweight. This offsets the weight of the connecting rod and piston. If you have your crankshaft balanced or your rotating assembly balanced, they will change the weight by either drilling holes into the counterweight or adding weld or a lead shot to increase the weight. So by doing this, we can make the engine spin perfectly smooth because there is no imbalance condition. Some engines, to help with the balancing, use what is called a balance shaft, and that is what this gear is. This is my balance shaft gear. If your vehicle is a V8 or an older engine, it will not have that part. It will just move right into the next connecting rod journal. If we look at the crankshaft, and this is a 4-cylinder crankshaft, it's out of the block that we have used previously, you'll notice that the first cylinder and the fourth cylinder are in the same location. So if the number 1 cylinder is all the way to top dead center, or TDC, then the fourth cylinder will be at the same location. You'll notice that number 2 and number 3 are also in the same location, opposite of 1 and 4. They are at the lowest position, and this would be referred to as bottom dead center. So when 1 and 4 are at top dead center, 2 and 3 are at bottom dead center, and vice versa. If 2 and 3 are at top dead center, then 1 and 4 would be at bottom dead center. You'll notice that each set of rod journals has its own counterweight. Moving to the end of the crankshaft, we have what is called the butt. It attached to it is a flywheel or flex plate. The flywheel is about 30 to 40 pounds, and this provides momentum during the non-powered strokes of the engine. Remember, an engine has 4 strokes, but only one of them is powered. In order for the engine to keep rotating, we need some type of momentum, and that's what the flywheel provides. Or if it's an automatic transmission, the combination of the flex plate and the torque converter will give us the same momentum. We now can see the flywheel of the engine. The flywheel provides not only, like I said, a location to mount the torque converter. In this case, this is a flex plate. The torque converter mounts to these points. It also gives us what is called a ring gear, and this is what the starter motor engages to rotate the engine when you're trying to start it. These are balanced as well, so to maintain the balance in the correct location, the bolt holes are offset. You'll notice that this set of bolt holes is closer together than this set. So it is impossible to put it on incorrectly unless you put it on backwards. When you buy a flywheel, it will say engine side or it will say torque converter side. That way you put it on correctly. However, if you're reusing the old one, it is a good idea to mark it so you know which side faces you and which side faces the engine. So that concludes the crankshaft identification portion. We will cover installing bearings later. The only thing we have left to do is cover the measuring.